Finally. Green Pyro. So, Team Fortress 2 Classified, or Team Fortress 2 Classic as it was once known as, is a new but actually not new at all mod for Team Fortress 2 that has just recently at last seen an official Steam release. Team Fortress 2 Classified begs to ask the question, what if TF2 didn't go down like that? It seeks to answer, what if those beta weapons and mechanics were never scrapped? And what if they added totally different new weapons on top of that? What if they leaned more heavily into that original iconic TF2 art style? What if there was 4 teams? What if they actually added that 10th class? And most importantly, what if TF2 never became the hat-based game? With Team Fortress 2 Classified, it's as if we're getting a glimpse into an alternate history where TF2 went in a very different direction. Now, I've actually had my eye on this mod for a while now. Truth be told, I actually wanted to make a video on it years ago, but back then just figuring out how to get it running took me the whole day, and ended up not even having any available Australian servers at the time. So needless to say, when I heard it was getting an official Steam release, I was extremely excited. Yes, indeedy, to play this beaut, all you need is Team Fortress 2, a Steam account, and an internet connection, and Team Fortress becomes that much more classified. Or declassified. I don't know. Now, I'm not going to be going over everything per se. I didn't really go into it looking to cover it extensively, at least not for now, as I'm sure there's plenty of details and mechanics I'll get wrong or miss entirely. This video is basically here to serve as my first impressions of the mod, of my experience for playing it for about 5 hours the other day, while also hopefully getting more eyes on it and spread it around, as I really do think it's worth talking about. Hell, I'm sure I'm probably not the first nor the last TF2 content creator you watch who's already talked about it, but I just wanted to throw my 2 cents into the ring and touch base, as it were. Oh, and also this video isn't sponsored or anything. They didn't ask me for squat. I just genuinely wanted to talk about it. I know I'm gonna glaze it a lot. I just think it's cool, okay? So anyway, yeah, let's fall right out of it. So the very first match that Aaron and I dropped into was a 4-team arena match of all things. Most TF2 players haven't played arena in over a decade, and yet here we are fighting against 2 additional teams. We got placed in green team, which is all I've ever wanted out of life, and just started blasting. Most server sizes are still capped to 24, meaning that each team only has a limit of 6 people, making it much less hectic than you might imagine. Except it actually was still insanely hectic, as you constantly feel like you're being attacked at all angles. This is because the maps have far less real estate to dedicate to teams, with having to divide them into 4 and whatnot. This basically means that you have far less base to hide in and far more positions to be flanked from when you're out in the open. However, if you've ever played arena mode before, this isn't too unusual. It's chaos, but that's kind of what the mode is for. The other map we played, on the other hand, was Payload Race. Now this was just pure chaos incarnate. 4 carts all sliding back and forth all over the dang joint. Enemy players popping up left, right, back, forth, up, down, first, second, third, and even 4th dimensionally on occasion. It was a fascinating experience, as the server at large seemed totally torn on their experience on the mode. Half wanting to leave as soon as possible, and the other half wanting to embrace the chaos forever. Personally, I relished in the madness, but that may have just been due to me wanting to experience the full brunt of what this mode had to offer. And that's really what it comes down to, I think. If you enjoy frantic splash fests in TF2, then this mode is for you. But if you prefer a little bit more coordination, I can easily see you wanting to steer clear of any map with the dreaded 4 in the title. That said, I really do enjoy the concept of a green and yellow team. Just seeing the old mercs in a new coat of paint just feels so refreshing and fun. And so, if I may forward a potential idea, what if for other 2-team modes we got a random selection of red, blue, green, and yellow? Like, say you're playing Badwater, for instance, and it's red versus green, or blue versus yellow, you know, just to mix it up and fully utilize these team colors, you know? I don't know, I just think it'd be neat. Next up, we try VIP mode, the one with the guy. Yes, the new guy, the civilian, or, well, he isn't totally new, he was in the original Team Fortress, but, or whatever, you get it. So basically, this game mode revolves all around the little feller, and from what we played, it's essentially just capture point, except only the civilian can capture. It's up to blue team to defend the civilian while pushing the points, and it's up to red team to defend the points and kill the civilian when he presents himself. This seems to be the basic way the mode is played, but we ended up playing 2 different variations on the idea. One where there were 4 points to cap, and every time the civilian died, red team lost 30 seconds, and another version where there was just 1 point, but the civilian only had 3 lives, and if they were all gone, it was game over for blue. Oh, and in either of these modes, if you're the guy who kills him, you get crits for a bit, so that's nice. It's funny, while the 4-team mode was pure chaos, this mode seemed the exact opposite, as considering how important the civilian is, communication and coordination went a really long way. Yes, it was vital to not only look out for the little guy, make sure he's safe and topped up, but it was also important to let him know when it was safe to proceed and capture the points. Now naturally, what with it being casual, these attempts at coordination didn't go super smoothly. There were more than a few occasions where the team couldn't seem less interested in babysitting their little brother, but I actually feel like this was mainly due to growing pains, having to twist these old creaky TF2 heads to focus on a different objective for once. I mean, I'll admit, on more than a few occasions I forgot the little bugger even existed, and just went about my way, needlessly throwing myself into enemy lines as I do. My point is, I imagine as more people play the mode, the more people will get better at actually watching over the little man. And speaking of the little man, in regards to actually playing as him, you are essentially picked at random at the start of each round to become the lamb. Think Saxon Hail mode in base TF2. And yes indeedy, I did have my go for one excellent round during the single capture point match. The civilian has 200 base health, an umbrella, and a single target buffing move that gives a teammate mini crits for a bit. All in all, the civilian is not meant to be a class that is out in the front lines. Far from it actually, considering how important he is. You really don't want to be around enemy players at any time. If you do find yourself face to face with a baddie, however, you can still at least whack him with your umbrella, which does such piddly damage that there's actually an achievement for somehow managing to get yourself killed by it, of which I am very proud to say I gave 2 people this achievement during my time playing as him. I also found out much later that he has another weapon called the Derby Cane, but I didn't get to use it, so whoops. But seedless Tanae, he isn't going to be everyone's cup of tea, which is why it's cool that there's actually a button to completely opt out of ever being picked to play him, or you can even vote to have someone else be him if you all please. I honestly wish I got to play as him more though. It's kind of the big inherent downside with modes like this, where there's one special character that I'm sure most people are playing the mode to want to just try out, but we all have to wait our turn when the big random wheel lands on us. But yeah, overall I enjoyed this mode quite a bit. Having a main objective for a match being a player kind of gives each match its own personality in a way. And I think that's a ton of fun. And judging by the fact that nobody wanted to RTV when we got to this mode, I'd say that most people are enjoying it as well. Now, I should quickly mention that there are other new game modes in this mod as well, such as Domination, which I played a tiny bit of when I went back to get more footage, but I'm just going to stick to talking about these 2 for now, as they're the biggest draws for this mod that I've found. So if you're anything like me, I'm sure your ears perked up when I said new weapons. And yes, there is a fair smattering of them, but before I get to them, I should probably mention that if you were hoping to see how these new thingamajigs combo with your tried and true loadouts, you may be in for disappointment. You see, other than the default weapons, only 5 weapons from OG TF2 made the cut. So it's more than likely 1 or more of your favorite weapons are nowhere to be seen here. And you know, I get it, that's kind of the point of this mod, sort of rebuilding TF2's history from the ground up, allowing the meta to change and form in a new direction and whatnot. But we still have a few to hold on to, and some even have substantial and exciting changes. Well, all of them except the flare gun. As far as I can see, it remains essentially the exact same as it always has, and that's the way I like it! Next up is the sandwich, which I was happy to see, but slightly saddened that it's been slightly nerfed, in it only healing 120 health, though this is offset by the fact that now you can eat it as much as you want until you throw it, then you gotta wait. And if I'm not mistaken, this is actually pretty much exactly how it was when the sandwich was added to TF2, minus the throwing part. And apparently the wiki says it can have crit heals now, so that's exciting, I think. The Kritzkrieg is fundamentally the same, but has a radically different look to differentiate itself more from the regular medigun, and I love it. The Huntsman is now held by the sniper differently, which is extremely visually confusing for me. And finally, the gunboats make their triumphant return, this time not only for the soldier, but yes, the demo man as well. Praise be. But that's it for the returns. Now let's jump into those baser weapons, starting with the nail gun. Nail gun! It's essentially just like giving the scout the syringe gun. Gotta admit, it's pretty unreliable and hard to use, but I appreciate the novelty. Then there's the RPG for the soldier, a one-shot nuke with an arc. It's okay, but you really don't want to miss lest you be eternally reloading. Demo Man gets his dynamite pack from that one trailer, although you don't get to spin it around like he does, which kinda sucks. It's okay, I think. maybe. You throw it, it explodes, then it splits into little TNT that scatters and then explode after a few more seconds. I personally found that I almost never hit anyone with it. I think it just takes too long to explode and it gives people ample time to cheese it. I think it works best in clusters of people who aren't paying attention, but that's it. I don't know, it's kind of meh. The spy gets his iconic tranquilizer gun and it's pretty interesting. You get one shot at a time that will colorblind targets and slow their fire rate down for a bit. I think it actually works super well for the spy. I can see people using this to annoy and disturb high priority targets like a heavy that's suppressing. I will say though, getting hit by it is confusing and scary as fuck when you don't know what it is. And finally, there's the Uber Spritzy for Medic. I'm actually not sure if this is a beta weapon. I just recall Medic having a syringe in some beta footage at some point, I don't know. It's basically just the Uber saw. Yeah. So I'll be honest, most of those weapons were standard fare. Good side grades, but nothing really meta changing. But these new weapons, oh boy. First up is the Admiralty Anchor, a big fuck off anchor for the soldier. I love this shit. Basically, it just makes a huge shockwave when you fall from a great height with it. Perfectly pairing with rocket jumping, of course. It's like twisting the idea of the market gardener on its head, which is then pummeled in by an anchor. It's marvelous. Jumping ahead to Demo Man, we have the Cyclops. Essentially, it's a grenade launcher where you choose the exact time it explodes by holding down left click until you want it to pop. It's interesting, almost like a reverse loose cannon. I can see it being quite fun to use when you get the hang of it. He also has the mine layer, which lays a few proximity mines out. This is okay, but I found it to be less reliable than the sticky launcher as it has a much smaller splash and number of mines you can lay. Plus, because they're proximity activated, you can very easily accidentally blow yourself up, so that's cool. Very immersive. Next up, Heavy has the anti-aircraft cannon. It's a slow-firing explosive shot that has limited range but packs a punch. I love this thing. I think the idea is to encourage Heavy players to aim a bit more precisely, but man does it pay off in spades. The distance downside isn't even that bad, as you probably don't want to be at too much of a distance as Heavy anyway. I would probably make this my main Heavy weapon in vanilla TF2 if I could. He also has Shukoff's Punch, some chains wrapped around his hands. It's sort of like a mix between the KGB and the Fists of Steel, in that it rewards crits for punching people but makes you fold in half when punched. I didn't use them too much, but they sound pretty good on paper. Just don't use them in medieval mode. Worst mistake of my life. NG has a coil gun where you can charge shots to bounce off walls. It's nifty, but it never seemed too useful as it doesn't do much damage. I imagine it's to give turtling NGs a way to safely shoot around corners, but I found it kind of meh overall. But he also has a new PDA, a jump pad that replaces the teleporter. 2 in fact. Now this is genius. This is the perfect option to give NGs who don't need a teleporter in the moment, such as I did here while defending Upward Last. And I gotta say, it felt really natural to use too. As soon as it was down, people were flying all over the place. Such a fantastic idea for NG. Really makes me want to try it out on every map. Medic gets a brand new Medigun, the Rejuvenator. Now this is the kind of wacky idea I love to see. It's a literal Medi-gun. It shoots balls of healing that you have to fire at your teammates. Even its Uber plays into the idea by shooting out an Uber bubble, which is just such a fun and interesting take on an Uber, making a bubble of intense defense. Ingenious! That said, it's not without its faults. I personally found that the Uber took forever to charge, likely due to its stagnant fire rate, which is also made worse by the fact that you have to reload it. Hey bro, gotta heal. Hold on a sec bro, I need to reload my medication gun. I don't know, I'm sure you can get into the reloading rhythm with it, but it's taken a bit for me. Shock Therapy is a new melee for the Medic and it's a ton of fun. That is, if you understand what it does. The description says that at full charge it can heal a teammate fully and do max damage. Alright, so you need full Uber to do these things, right? No, full charge means full therapy. This funny little meter here. Maybe I'm dumb, but whenever I read anything related to charge on Medic, I automatically assume they mean Uber. Maybe that's just me, but I feel like the wording could be a little better. Anyway, once you figured it out, it's a blast. Healing people with one hit offsets the Rejuvenator's slower healing rate in a pinch. And the damage output on this thing can reach insane heights of 300 damage on a fully charged crit. Tons of fun. Now Sniper gets the Hunting Revolver, and this thing, I can't say I'm a huge fan. Basically, it has half as much zoom and less damage, but can fire much faster. And it seems that anyone who is even half decent at sniper could fully take advantage of that. But not just that, it also bafflingly also gives the sniper 25 more max health, which just made him way tankier than he has any right to be in my opinion. Snipers should be annoying at long range, but relatively easy at close range, and this just kind of mitigates that. The people on my server were also complaining about how OP it was as well, so I guess I'm not the only one, but yeah, not so great, I'd say. He also has the fish whacker, which primarily just knocks back enemies when you hit them, but it also causes bleed because why not, I guess. This weapon I like a lot more on sniper. The knockback can give the sniper a small window to take the advantage when enemies get close to him, which feels far more appropriate for his role. Spy has l'escampette, I fucking know. A new watch that essentially just lets you run way faster while cloaked but lasts way less longer. This is a pretty nifty side grade, although it has its own unique decloak sound, which the people on my server were saying they were constantly looking out for, to the point where it was actually far more advantageous to just use the default watch again, so make of that what you will. Now of course, Pyro has a few new tools that I gave special attention to. First off, he has the twin barrel, which for all intents and purposes is just the force of nature for the Pyro. It's okay, I guess? I don't know. Pyro kind of thrives by being up close and personal, so giving him a weapon to push the enemy and even yourself away doesn't exactly vibe with my playstyle personally. Maybe I still gotta get used to it, but I honestly don't think I got a single kill with it. Mainly because I guess it just kept wanting a shotgun to close the gap rather than widen it. I don't know. But the Pyro also gets the Harvester. Now this one is really weird and took me a while to figure out. Basically, when you burn someone, if you're holding the scythe, you build a little meter that when full gives you 1 critical hit. It also counts players burning after they've died, which is nice, but I don't really know, man. I just found that the meter didn't really fill all that fast, so when you finally got a crit, it's not a guaranteed kill or anything. My guess is that it's to encourage pyros to not spam their flamethrowers as much to give enemies breathing room, but I just felt like I was wasting precious burning time when I was holding this thing. I just really didn't see much use for it. Maybe I'd see the vision after more testing, like maybe it works best when retreating, provided of course you live long enough to do so as Pyro. Oh, and it also has the downside of extinguishing everyone you burned when you die, presumably to prevent you from building the meter posthumously, but more often than not, it just prevented afterburn kills I otherwise might have got. I don't know, I need to spend more time in the testing lab with this one. Looks cool as shit though. And finally, I saved the best for last. The weapon that neither myself, Aaron, or even the people on my server could get enough of. A weapon so nuanced, so genius, that it boggles the mind that somehow nobody had come up with it before. Brick.
Yeah, brick fight! No, brick fight's a bad idea, please no. Yeah, it's time for brick fight! I started chucking bricks over the other side and none of them hit him, he dodged all of them. He picked up one of the bricks and he tossed it back and had perfect aim and it hit me, it slammed me right on the top of my fucking head. I was like, oh!
That's what you get, you fucking ass.
Oh, brick fight, no!
It's a brick. That's it, and that's all for the weapons that are in the game as of now. Though I have no doubt that many more will be added in future that will likely dramatically shift and change the game's meta as it goes forward, and that's very exciting. It's like the early days of TF2 all over again, man. However, as I mentioned earlier, it does still sting a bit that some weapons from the base game are absent, and I suppose that's a good enough segue to kind of talk about the cons for a bit. I've kind of been gassing up this game for a while, so I ought to at least mention the not so cash money things. For one thing, with the weapons, it does kind of sting that some staple items are absent, such as the Crusader's crossbow for example, that single-handedly revolutionized medic gameplay. Soldier banners, extinguisher, gloves of running urgently, rescue ranger, jag, Girardi, dead ringer, all have their absence felt more than ever for better and for worse. Even Demo Knight as a concept is gone, making medieval mode a very peculiar experience. What part of a jump pad is medieval? It's not an exclusively bad thing, mind you. I get that that's the point of bringing things back to basics. But I'm just saying that we were constantly like, oh, I wish I had this weapon or that item or this thing. I also want to touch on the cosmetics as well, as while I very much appreciate the idea of foregoing them in favor of removing the clutter and resetting things back to basics, they did act as a great identifier. Aaron and I kept mistaking other people for each other as we could never tell at a glance who we were. At one point, Aaron was getting very annoyed at appreciated a heavy he was healing for not listening to him, not realizing that it wasn't me. And yeah, I know you can see the names when you hover over people. I'm just saying it's lost that instant recognition, and there's something to be said for that. Aaron also wanted to conga on people's corpses, which is also very relatable. But those are really just opinions at the end of the day, but what isn't an opinion is the clipping. Look, I'll be honest, it may have been the server we were on, but we were having some major clipping issues the whole night, getting stuck in objects, enemies, and on more than a few occasions, the damn cart. Again, it might have just been a server issue, but I have no idea how this bug could even occur server side. Now that being said, the game is being updated fairly regularly. In fact, as I was writing the script, another patch was sent through with a ton of bug fixes. These devs seem super passionate and on top of things. So I can't imagine that any game-breaking bug will ever be in the game for long. Hell, the clipping bug will probably already be fixed by the time this video goes live. But aside from that, as of right now, that's all the negative I really have. I know some people don't like the more old-fashioned server browser, but I've been playing TF2 since server browsers look like this, so I'm not overly worried about it. That all said, now I want to glaze the game some more by pointing out a bunch of random little things that I liked. Firstly, I really love the dedication to the art style. I know the death of Team Fortress 2's art style has been a topic of debate for years, but I really love how they handled it here. Everything just looks like it fits in this beautiful world. No more weirdly realistic blood on the Persian Persuader, now it's fully cartoony blood all the way. Even the spy's knife gets blood on it after a kill like it was always meant to. The loading screens are the perfect example of this. Look how much pizzazz it has. I just adore it so much, and it reminds me of the initial reason I loved TF2's art style in the first place. They also restored a bunch of lost stuff, like how the minigun now takes up half your screen again, or how the demo man actually reloads his grenade launcher properly. It even has 4 slots, or even how the scout has blue pants from the start now. What a concept! And even though it's starting from scratch, there are still some quality of life stuff added that weren't in TF2 from the beginning, such as air blasting and hauling buildings. There's also a bunch of new achievements to aim for that all focus around the new additions, and my absolute favorite thing, this game has updates. Real classic style multi-day updates, just like the old days. These updates are honestly so detailed, thoughtful, and in-depth that yes indeed, I may just end up making update history videos on them. And I think that's all I really have to say for now. Overall, I greatly enjoyed my time with this game so far. It won't be replacing the OG TF2 anytime soon. The games are honestly different enough at this point that I think they can easily both exist in the same world. But yeah, I highly recommend checking it out if you get the chance. It is free and on Steam now after all, but yeah. Anyway, I got one last big video going up on the second channel soon, and then I'll be taking a long break from videos to work on my comic. Okay, bye!